welcome. Looks like we're just getting the video started. Welcome to the live, everyone. For those that are joining the first time, my name is Tina. I'm a happiness coach, and my goal is to help 1 million people heal past trauma, and I do this by sharing my experience, my strength, my hope of how I went from being in a dark place, feeling depressed, anxious, suicidal, and getting myself to a happier place. And this is an ongoing process. This is tools that I use on a daily basis. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. So today's topic I'm really excited about. We're going to talk about finding happiness in the midst of failures. So, and how to do that effectively. So I've got a few stories that I'm going to tell today, so that should be interesting. And you get to know a bit more about me. For those that are on TikTok, please share the live, tap the screen so we have a nice energy exchange. And if there's anybody that you have any questions, feel free to type those in the chat and I will try to answer those by the end of the live, okay? For anybody on Facebook, welcome. If you're watching live, type in #live. If you're watching the replay, type in #replay, and that'll help boost the algorithm so that if you find this message helpful, to get this out to other people that may be able to use these tools. Okay, so finding happiness in the midst of failure. So anytime you go to make any big changes in your life, whether it's new year, new me, or you're just making a minor change, or it could be something that seems minor to other people, but for you it's a major change, right? Because it's different. It's not who you normally are. So when we go to make these changes, oftentimes we end up having backlash and we end up doing things to self-sabotage and we end up failing, and then how we react to that failure is the key. Okay, so one of the things that I did is yesterday I decided that I was going to get up earlier. And in my typical fashion, I completely FUBAR'd that. And for those of you that don't know, FUBAR stands for fucked up beyond all recognition. That's what I did. So my intention was to get up at I think I set my alarm for 5:30. I think I rolled out of bed around 9:30. And the worst thing is I didn't really sleep in those extra 4 hours. I just kind of laid there and thought about different things. So I was still exhausted. And so basically complete epic fail for my getting up early kind of thing. Okay. So now I tell you that because when you go to make those certain changes, there will be different things that come up for you. And I typically go through this thing. I'll set the goal. It's like, okay, I'm setting the intention. I'm going to get up early, and she fails. Complete Bambi on ice. And if you don't believe me, go back and watch my first video. You will see that I was complete Bambi on ice. Very nervous, very confident. But it's almost like this is a pattern for me that I just kind of get that epic fail out of the way, and it can only go up from here. So in that, I got up. I was also feeling very sore, achy. Some of that is due to the weather and stuff like that. So basically I shit the bed on, not literally, but in meeting my goal of getting up early. So what I did is I started to look at certain things of looking at this, first of all, as an opportunity. How am I going to handle this? Am I going to beat myself up like I normally do and go down the path of you can't do anything right, you never follow through on your goals, all of that critical self-talk comes in, and all of those whispers get really, really friggin' loud, and they're not so much whispers. They seem like they're screaming at you nonstop of you fucked up, you suck, you're terrible, all of those kind of things. And instead of doing that, I thought to myself, because I was starting to go down because I wanted to do this other thing and I wanted to go out, and I didn't do any of those things. So what I did is I took this as an opportunity to give myself compassion, to give myself grace, and to give myself the support that I need, that I would normally look for from other people. So I thought to myself, if I was talking to my best friend, how would I react to them? I'd be like, so what? So you didn't get up today? It'd be like, okay, then get up tomorrow. Like, it's not a big deal. So when you're evaluating the changes, you need to look at, you know, is this a one and done? Was this a once in a lifetime opportunity and you blew it and it can't be fixed and all of that kind of stuff? And I have something, even if you do blow a once in a lifetime opportunity, because I don't believe you miss anything that is meant for you. Okay? It's just a matter of whether or not you actually really, really want that. Okay? And when you start to ask yourself some of the questions that I'm going to go through here, you may find certain things that you didn't really want the thing as much as you thought you did. So one of the things is I wanted to go out to a meetup today, and I realized once I got that break, and I was like, oh, it's actually too late to go now and I don't have enough time to get there. I realized what was going on was I didn't really want to go to that, but I felt I should go to that. So anytime you are finding yourself in the I should do this, that is a signal that you are doing that for somebody else's benefit. You're doing that because you think somebody else would want you to do that rather than you truly authentically wanting to do that. So it's a matter of focusing on what are the things that are actually important to me? Why did I set that goal in the first place? And when I kind of clued into that little piece, I was like, oh, yeah, because I'm not that upset that I'm staying home, and I focused on the other things that I did actually want to do. And I gave myself permission to just do the things that I actually wanted to do instead of doing the things that I thought I should do. Okay? So I hope that makes sense. So that was scenario one. Now, there's another scenario where, so that's more of a personal example that kind of happened today, and I'll walk through the other stuff, but for the questions, I think it'll be easier for me to explain this in a bit more of a business kind of sense. So this was a committee that I was involved in, and it was actually all volunteer, but it was structured kind of corporate-like. So there were certain speakers, and it was an event that we were organizing and everything, and my job was to actually reach out to the speaker, but I was in my early 20s, so I didn't know a whole lot. And not that I know a whole lot more now, but back then I really didn't know much. So early 20s, didn't know much, and I was just kind of doing my best. So we had this speaker that was arranged, and I had to reach out to that speaker, and I think it was just more like to confirm, hello, welcome. So it was just to confirm their flight, their details, all that kind of stuff. And we had our team meeting, our committee meeting, and I think it was on a Sunday. And so we had the meeting, we were all good, and for those of you who don't know, I'm Christian-ish, so my age is not relevant here right now, but thank you. So talking to this speaker, it was a Sunday, and I had to reach out and I had to contact this speaker. We had this meeting on Sunday, and I'm just thinking, okay, it's a Sunday, I'm going to call the speaker. One thing I wasn't aware of the time zones. The speaker was in California, I'm in Ontario, Canada, and it ended up, I wasn't paying attention to the time difference, so I think it was, I used to get up earlier back then, so I think it was fairly early in the morning, and I think I might have called them, it might have been 7 a.m. So that was mistake number one. So mistake number two was, it was Easter Sunday, and the speaker was actually a pastor, and I'm calling him at 7 a.m. on Easter Sunday morning. So he wasn't too happy, and he got really, really upset with me. He did overreact and flew off the handle. But he actually ended up saying, the hell with this, I'm not actually going to come and speak anymore. So here I am. I had an epic fail. I lost our keynote speaker that was supposed to come to our conference that was happening in 2 months, and it took us a long time to actually even get this speaker. And so now we were going to have to scramble. I had to go tell the committee. I had to tell the other committee where it's their actual conference. We were just a smaller committee that I fucked up so bad. I lost our speaker. And I was ready to like get kicked off the team, and I kind of showed up. I turned myself in, and I'm like, this is what happened. I am so sorry. I was devastated. And I will never, ever, ever forget how the chairperson of the main committee had reacted to that, because I thought to myself, oh my gosh, you know what? I really would want to make sure that no matter what, I operate in the same way that this guy did. So everybody was kind of in the committee was getting really upset. They were all hostile and everything. And this guy said to us, you know what? We can't change the past. It's done. It's happened. What are we going to do to move forward? And I will never forget that, because that was the first time he didn't focus on the problem. He focused on the opportunity or the benefit that came from the failure. And we actually ended up having a huge benefit that came out of this, is that we ended up getting our initial first choice speaker that we wanted for the conference. But when we first asked them, they were already booked and they had a cancellation. And because I lost the speaker that we had booked in their place, we now had the freed spot. So they went back and they reached out to that first speaker, and we actually got the speaker we actually wanted for the conference. So it ended up turning out really well, but it could have actually turned out really, really badly if everybody focused on the problem of losing the speaker. So when you go to review a situation, if you've had a failure, whether it's a small one like me, I didn't wake up this morning and I had set the intention of waking up early and I screwed that up. But review it without judgment, without blame. And the first thing that we want to do is we want to understand why. Why did we miss the target? Okay. What was the problem? So, a couple of things. In the case of my speaker event, I didn't realize the time change. I didn't realize it was Easter Sunday, and I didn't know that our speaker was a pastor. Nobody had given me that information. So we had a bit of a miscommunication. There was important information that I was missing in how to properly interact with this potential speaker. When you have the failing too, you also want to pay attention to not put hand cream on so that you can actually take the lid off the markers. Two, you want to pay attention to the emotions. You're going to want to watch for things like fear, anxiety, anger, resentment, not feeling good enough, all of those kind of things. And they usually have an audio track that's going on in your head of things that you are telling yourself, things that you have heard told to you in the past. And you need to pay attention to what those things are. Write those things down. You know what? I screwed up. I messed up. I'm terrible. I'm horrible. Blah, 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 blah. Whatever it is, get that out of your system. Write those things down, because if not, that track will play on loop over and over in your head until it brings you down into the darkness. So pay attention to what feelings come up. Write those down so that you can get them out of your system and you can start to combat the lies of the emotion with logic. Okay? You also want to assess, how big of a failure was it? Not all failures are created equal. Example, the waking up late when I wanted to wake up early versus losing the speaker for our conference. Those are two very different failures, you know. But if you tend to paint them with the same brush, which I typically did, I would treat my waking up late in the morning for a small intention that I set that I failed at with the same brush as the, you know, losing a speaker for a conference kind of thing. And if that event showed me that there is forgiveness, there is compassion, it is what it is, what can we do to fix it now? And focusing on the solution rather than the problem that happened is key with this, because it's too easy to get stuck in the failure part of things versus the benefit of what opportunity has been presented because of this failure. So assessing, is it, you know, a once in a lifetime thing, or can you do this failure thing again tomorrow? Do you have the opportunity to try again tomorrow? Most of the time, we always have the opportunity to try tomorrow. Next thing we want to do is number three is, especially in a work environment, a lot of times we'll set goals, or even in our personal goals too, we may set goals or targets or whatever that are not actually possible. And there's been many times I get caught in that trap of not understanding that the goal that I set was not possible. Now, does it mean it wasn't possible forever? No. I feel all things are possible. However, there are certain timelines and there are certain sacrifices that need to be made in order to hit those targets, right? So, there we go. So, is it possible? If yes, it is possible, then we have to start to look at, you know, what happened, of what caused the failure point. But if it isn't possible, then the thing that we need to look at is, do we need to adjust our expectations? Do we need to adjust the parameters of the goal or the target that's been set? Do we need to change the people that are involved in the program or goal that you're trying to achieve, right? Do you have the right people aligned in that goal? And then sometimes you also have to take a look at the timelines. It's like, okay, well, you know what? I thought I could do this in 30 days and it's probably going to take me actually 6 months, or it's going to take me 3 months. Now, that doesn't mean you can't set a target that's a stretch goal, like to kind of push you to get there. What I'm saying is, if you set that target for 30 days, that's probably still a good thing that you try to do that. What I'm trying to focus on is, how do you react to the failure of not hitting the target within the timeline that you set? Can you adjust yourself? Can you pivot yourself? And most importantly, can you make sure that you don't beat up on yourself and show yourself some compassion and look for the opportunity of what went right in this? What did you learn from it? What did you grow from, right? You're going to want to understand what factors prevented you from hitting the target. Okay. So what factors prevented you from hitting the target? So in the terms of my wanting to get up early, well, I didn't actually go to bed early enough to be able to get up at 5:30. I mistakenly assumed that I would be able to, you know, go to bed at like 1:30 a.m. and still get up at 5:30 a.m. Setting myself up for failure right from the beginning. Not giving myself the right amount of time that I needed to get the rest that I needed, that I would want to wake up at that time. So I got a little ambitious with setting that target and figured I'd just pull the trigger, screwed it all up, Now I have to fix it for tomorrow, and I can get better. So I can make sure that I go to bed at a better time. I can make sure that I get the rest that I need to be able to reach that goal and that target. I can also adjust. Maybe 5:30 was pretty early considering I have been getting up around 9, 10 a.m. So I can also look at the fact that even though I got up later than I intended, it was still earlier than I had been getting up. So finding what was right about things and having our focus on what is right instead of all the things that were wrong. Okay, so making sure that we're looking at the benefits, the good things that are happening. The missed opportunities aren't missed opportunities if you utilize that time to do something else just as effective. So one of the things that I did is I focused on some other work that I needed to get done rather than going out and networking. So I got that stuff done. I also gave myself some time to rest because I was actually feeling fairly sore this morning. So I gave my body some time to rest, to relax. I also got some things done that were kind of, these are the slow builds of stress that was kind of building up. It's like, okay, I needed to vacuum. I noticed the floors were kind of getting, we have cats and there's a lot of hair and everything. So I was like, no, I deserve to have this kind of clean and tidy. So I took some time to do a little bit of cleaning, a little bit of tidying, and I gave myself permission to do those kind of things. So it's not so much, if you've missed the opportunity or if something went wrong, it's what are you going to do instead? What are you going to do to make this better for yourself? And I also gave myself credit for once I recognized stuff and I started down the path of being critical. Hello, Ahmed. Tonight's topic is finding happiness in the midst of failure. Okay. Since you're just joining, if you guys are joining late, you can always go to Facebook and you can watch the replays. And eventually I will be getting these on YouTube. Okay. So a bit at a time. So I did focus. I got some more artwork uploaded to my Redbubble account, and that took time. I started to get myself a little bit more organized, a little bit more structured. So those were actually things that I wanted to work on today, and those are the things that I actually focused on. So I did that stuff, and I made progress in something else, even though I failed in this one other area, this one little thing that I had set for myself. Instead of beating myself up for not doing something that I wanted to do and not being happy about it, then I focused on what I did right and what I could do right for the rest of the day, instead of focusing and letting that take over. So I was actually very proud of myself for doing that and preventing myself from going down the path of beating myself up because here I made yet another failure, another mistake. So I can either choose to focus on that, or I can choose to focus on how am I going to change this to make this a positive thing for me? How can I shift this, right? So it's not so much the failure that happens, it is how do we react? How did we react in the past? And if we tend to react in a quick manner where we fire off, we get upset, we get anxious, we're like, all that kind of stuff, can we give ourselves some space? We have to give ourselves some space between the event that happened, the failure that happened, and the reaction. So I gave myself space. I gave myself some time to meditate. I took deep breaths. If you guys don't know what box breathing is, you definitely want to implement this. Really, it's really, really fast. In less than a minute, you can calm yourself down. Get some breath into you, get some air into you, get some oxygen into you. It helps you think clearer. It helps calm your nervous system down as well. And then you can bring in logic, right? So don't beat yourself up for any emotions that you have. Observe that you have those emotions. Note them down. Note down the negative voices that are coming out of your head and get them out of your system so that you don't have to have that tape playing in your head all day long, right? So I noticed how I had reacted in the past, of how I used to beat myself versus now I take that time. So box breathing is you breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold for 4 seconds, you breathe out for 4 seconds, and you hold for 4 seconds. Do that 2 or 3 times in a row, and you will find that you're already calmer, you're more clear-minded. It helps your body understand that you're not under immediate threat. You're not in danger, right? Because you think of it is if you're in immediate threat, you tense up your body, your breathing gets very shallow, and you're like, right? So no, you have to control that breathing, really calm yourself down, and get to the point where you can think clearer and think about how you want to actually proceed rather than reacting to emotions, imaginary or real, any of those things that coming up, because oftentimes it's the thoughts that go through our head. And it doesn't matter, you can use these tools whether you are ADHD, autistic, any of those kind of things. You can implement these things if you've been through past trauma. These are tools like I use on a regular basis, and I am so grateful to the person that showed me how to do this, because I didn't know some of these things before, and it really does help. That I find when I get in a stressed out place now, I calm myself down by using that breathing technique. The next piece you want to do is, what are the benefits of not hitting the target? So sometimes not being able to hit the target gives us an opportunity to find that silver lining and figure out and adjust. So in the example of the speaker, where I had lost the speaker, well, a lot of people didn't really want that speaker anyway afterwards, especially once they found out we got the speaker that we really wanted. But that speaker was the only one that we could get to agree in for that particular weekend that we were having the conference. So it was actually a blessing in disguise. So if we always look at the things that go wrong in our life from that lens of how could this possibly be a blessing, right? How could this be a good thing? That delay, that, you being late for work. I used to do that kind of stuff too. It's like, because I would get anxious about, things not working out, or I'd be prevented, or I'd get pissed off because there was a lot of traffic and I'd be bored and now I'm going to be running late and all that kind of stuff. And I started to realize it's like, you know what? Hey, maybe this traffic jam is preventing, if I didn't have this traffic, maybe I'd run into somebody and an accident would happen. So I just try to talk myself into believing that there is some sort of benefit to this delay, this problem, whatever it is, that I may not see in this particular moment, and I may not ever know the reason, and even if it's a complete lie that I'm telling myself, it's at least a lie that actually benefits me rather than one that sabotages me and prevents me from doing anything because I'm so crippled because I've criticized myself and I've beat myself up all day. So finding ways to figure out how can this be a positive thing, and then looking for those opportunities. It also changes your mindset to start focusing on solutions, focusing on the good in the situation rather than what is wrong in the situation. So that is, basically how I focused on allowing myself to be happy in spite of the failure of waking up late when I intended to get up early, and how I mitigated being, going down the path of beating myself up all day for a minor mistake. Because I get to try again tomorrow, and instead what I did is I changed up my routine today. I got dressed earlier because I also do painting, and normally I wear certain clothes so that I don't have to worry about getting paint on my clothes. But I got dressed anyway, and I was able to still do my painting, still do all that kind of stuff. And I've set myself up for better success so that I can try this again tomorrow. I may not target 5:30, but maybe, I don't know. I'll see what I'm gonna do there. But I'm gonna set that intention to get up earlier than I did today, which was 9 a.m. So if I get up earlier than that, then I'm doing well. So it's progress, not perfection. Keep moving in the right direction, keep adjusting, keep going through and understand. It's like, okay, if I screw up again tomorrow, I'm gonna go, okay, well, why did I screw up this time? Okay, well, you know what? I started to be anxious, I didn't sleep, or whatever it is. Pay attention to the emotions that come up. You know, was the goal that I set, was it possible? You know, or was it possible for that time frame? You know, and what kind of factors prevented it? So if I keep doing those kind of things, it keeps me in a solution focused mode, that I will start to implement solutions rather than focusing on the fact that, oh, I failed again, oh, I suck, maybe I can't do this, I'm just not meant to get up early, which is not the case. It's like, no, it's like the other thing that you have to look at too is how long have you been doing things the old way? The longer you've been doing that old habit, whatever it is, maybe you've been beating up on yourself all the time and you've been doing that for your whole life as long as you can remember, it's going to take a few tries. You're going to fail. You're going to make mistakes. It's going to happen. So expect it. So sometimes the problem isn't the failure, it's the fact we expected it to go perfect. So we adjust our expectations, make them more realistic, implement, change, implement, and try again, right? And it's like, okay, what screwed up this time? Did it work? Yes, it did. No, it didn't. Do I need more time to see if this will work, right? You know, was I expecting something to happen in a week and it might take me 30 days, 3 months, 6 months? I don't know, right? You have to look at those kind of things. And are you willing to stick with this process of changing, reviewing, adapting, and then implementing new change for the next time? And this can be applied in so many areas of life. It can be applied in sales, it can be applied in business, customer service, accounting, whatever. You always want to look at what went wrong, why did it go wrong, pay attention to the emotions that come up. So, you know, maybe we trigger different emotions from different departments. How did that affect them? What was the impact that it had on them? You know, and then understanding those things, and then what is it that we are able to do different for next time, right? So knowing that if that the one thing that we can hang on to is we are all capable of change. So I don't believe in the leopard can't change its spots bullshit, or there's the saying of how you do anything is how you do everything. And I get that, and I understand that, I embrace that, but it's not an absolute, okay? There are things, it's like, okay, I do things this way. All humans are meant to grow. We're all meant to grow. We're all meant to change. Otherwise, what's the point of trying to do anything different? We're all able to change our lives if we're willing to put in the work over a long period of time and pay the price for it. And sometimes that price is sacrificing our comfort versus, not just the cash. That paying the cash, that's the easy part. That is the easy part. Oh, if we could just say, you know what, here, I'm just going to pay you and all my problems are going away. Oh, no, I have to pay you and I have to do shit? Oh, come on, man, that sucks. No. I didn't think I was going to have to work for this. No. We can't have that. So we have to look at what it is that we ourselves can actually do different. How can we look at this different in a way that helps us rather than brings us down, right? So, and be careful of all the negative labels or, tapes that run through your head, whether they were put there by other people that have said things about you, or you picked up where somebody left off. Somebody called you, stupid or lazy or something like that years ago, and you took that label on and go, oh yeah, it must be true. And oh yeah, there's another example where I didn't do this and I can't follow through and I'm just a failure. And, you know, if you kind of go down that path and you believe that, it has nothing to do with that other person. It has to do with the fact that we actually believe those things about ourselves. And that alone is the bigger problem. That is what needs to be fixed. It's how we react to failure, not the failure itself, that is the problem. So that is a short one for today. I hope that helps. This will allow me to hopefully get to bed a bit earlier tonight. So with that, guys, I'm going to wrap up. If there's any questions, you can feel free to message me your questions. I'll be happy to do a training on that. And if you like this, make sure you come back tomorrow, share it with a friend, and like I said, you can go to Facebook and you can check out the live or the recordings of the live there. Okay, so guys, thank you so much for joining, and we will talk to you again tomorrow around 9 p.m. Eastern time. All right, take care, have a great night. Bye.